Good evening, everyone. I'm President and CEO Dr. Michelle Larson, coming to you from the steps of our virtual Adler Planetarium. This virtual Adler was built by our team as a venue for classrooms to take interactive field trips to the planetarium from all around the world. We've had school groups from Chicago, Indiana, Michigan, California, and even Canada and Mexico learn all about space from this virtual classroom. Over the past year, the Adler has created a variety of digital opportunities for people from around our planet to connect through the wonder of our universe. Tonight's Celestial Ball will spotlight the communities we have built and continue to build here in Chicago or wherever you are. We are embarking on a new age for the Adler Planetarium, Adler Anywhere. Let's head inside and see what's up tonight. Welcome! One of the most incredible parts of visiting the Adler is to experience our universe in one of our planetarium sky theaters. Tonight, we're bringing that experience to you as we start this evening's Celestial Ball with majestic space visualizations from our home to yours. Sit back and let your mind wander.
On February 18th, NASA's Perseverance rover and Ingenuity helicopter landed on Mars. For this video, our visualization team paired actual Martian terrain data with a whimsical visual style to create an imaginative take on what Ingenuity might find as it flies over the rocky Martian surface.
So why do the constellations change? We're looking at Earth near the summer solstice, when the North Pole is tilted toward the Sun. Something to notice is that a constellation like Orion and the other wintertime constellations aren't visible in June because the Sun is in the way. Now we'll speed up time and go through 6 months. As Earth orbits, the North Pole keeps pointing at Polaris, and the night side of Earth faces different parts of the sky. Halfway to the winter solstice, we reach the fall equinox, where Earth's axis isn't pointed toward or away from the Sun, but off to the side. As we get later in fall, toward the beginning of winter, constellations like Orion are now on the night side of Earth, and constellations like Scorpius, which we saw in the summer sky, are blocked by the Sun. The constellations are seasonal because Earth orbits around the Sun.
In this scene from our newest sky show, Imagine the Moon, we visualized lunar missions as a series of colored paths, with each color representing a different nation. Dashed lines were unsuccessful missions, solid lines, successful. Let's listen in for more.
These missions pave the way, allowing important lessons to be learned without putting people at risk. Some were successful, including orbiting and soft landings on the Moon. More than half were unsuccessful and ended when spacecraft exploded on launch, missed the Moon, or crashed right into it. Getting to the Moon is hard. Crewed missions upped the stakes and the cost of failure skyrocketed. But even disaster couldn't quell the desire to get there and visit that undiscovered land.
What you're about to see is a 360-degree video about how we track supernovas, basically giant exploding stars. Doctors Laura Truey and Chris Lintott will talk you through an amazing data visualization and explain how technology is changing the way scientists find and study supernovas.
So this visual steps through the years since 1880, showing the 64,000 supernovae we've discovered pre-LSST. So here we're just going to focus on seeing supernovae. And every time you see a point of green or blue light, that's a supernova going off in that year from that particular galaxy. Over time, you'll see some big swaths or stripes of data come online as a new survey or new telescope was built. So much of this is driven by the technology and our ability to capture these. Now we're going to step through just the past decade, the past 10 years of data, with 45,000 supernovae discovered in that time period.
So that means 2/3 of the supernovae that we've ever seen have come in the last 10 years, the result of a remarkable amount of ingenuity by astronomers. But we're still not satisfied. To understand stars and the cosmos, we need to do better.
Finally, here's the number we're predicted to discover in the midst of LSST live on the sky in the month of November 2023. We expect to discover 66,000 new supernovae in just that 1 month. This is the same total number of all discovered to date.
One deep sky object to look for in Lyra the Harp is the Ring Nebula, or M57. This is not a naked eye object, but if you do have a small telescope, you should be able to see a fairly dim, smoky ring. The Ring Nebula is about 2,000 light-years away, so way beyond a lot of the stars we see in the sky, and well beyond where our spacecraft have gone. But we can visualize the structure of this nebula based on the observations we've made from Earth. The ring is really a shell of material that was ejected from a star much like our Sun. As Sun-like stars age, they shed their outer atmosphere until all that's left of the star is the exposed core, a white dwarf. The shell is about 2 or 3 light-years across, which would stretch from our Sun almost to the closest star. It's a huge distance.
Our mission remains rooted in the values of Max Adler, who founded the Adler Planetarium to connect people to the universe and each other under the sky we all share. The Adler works in a variety of ways to spark community around sky observing, encouraging people near and far to look up together, in person or online.
Hi, my name is Michelle Nichols, and I'm the Director of Public Observing here at the Adler Planetarium. Looking up at the sky together is one of the core elements of the Adler's mission. Whether you're at the planetarium, in your neighborhood, online, or in your own backyard at home, the sky connects all of us, and it is a resource we all share. The Adler builds communities around looking up at the sky, and we've been able to do that in a number of different ways. Being able to look through a telescope and see star clusters or planets is an incredible experience. At the Adler, we've been hard at work over the past few years enhancing our Dome Observatory, including installing a new telescope. Our ability to offer a large research-grade telescope in a downtown location creates opportunities for observing that you don't find in many other major cities in the world. This summer, we've been able to offer Scopes at the Adler, a nighttime viewing program for small groups utilizing our new, larger telescope. We also have been adding to the area around the observatory to create an observation park for small telescope viewing. The new observing terrace offers an easily accessible space for programming and public engagement during the day as well as at night. We don't just offer sky observing programs on site at the Adler Planetarium. Since 2014, we've been able to take some of the same telescopes that we use at the museum and bring them out into the community via Scopes in the City. Scopes in the City is a pretty straightforward idea. We partner with organizations around the Chicagoland area in a diverse range of communities, and we set up our telescopes in public spaces for a few hours so that anyone coming by has the opportunity to stop for a few minutes and look up at the sky. It's a free program that gives folks who may never have visited the Adler Planetarium a chance to engage with us. It's a very powerful thing to offer opportunities for people to look at the sky in a new way. We've had people of all ages look through a telescope for the first time in their lives because of Scopes in the City. It's also important to recognize that there are barriers for some people to come to the Adler Planetarium. And one of our core Adler values is accessibility. Scopes in the City brings the Adler to anyone in our community. Events of the last year challenged us to consider how we could maintain our community reach while our traditional in-person opportunities were put on hold. We recognized that there was a real loss when we weren't able to gather in person, either at the Dome Observatory or using our small telescopes, which is how Sky Observers Hangout was born.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sky Observers Hangout. We are so glad you are with us today.
The goal of Sky Observers Hangout is to provide a place for our online community to gather together to nerd out about the sky. We've hosted several dozen episodes with topics including how to use your smartphone to take good pictures of the moon, the December 2020 Saturn and Jupiter Great Conjunction, and we have several programs about the yearly events that happen in the sky that anyone can see by looking up from their backyards. And because Sky Observers Hangout is hosted live on YouTube, we're able to interact with viewers through the chat function, answer questions on the air, and get to know some of the regular attendees from the country and around the world. Sky Observers Hangout has allowed our public observing programming to expand to a global reach. We've had viewers tune in from Germany, the Netherlands, Brazil, India, Malaysia, and elsewhere. And though some of these people may never have the opportunity to travel to Chicago and visit the Adler, they've become a part of our Adler community. We are excited to continue hosting Sky Observers Hangout even as our in-person opportunities return. Whether people engage with us for 30 seconds or 20 minutes, whether we use a small telescope or a large one, or whether we're online or in person, the Adler Planetarium connects with people through the simple act of looking up.
The renovations to the Dome Observatory and the construction of the observation park have been supported by passionate donors over the past few years, including tremendous support from founding donor, the Petrovich family, with lead support provided through an anonymous donor and the Public Museum Capital Grants Program of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Illinois State Museum. Additional generous donations were provided by the A. Montgomery Ward Foundation, Thomas J. Anderson and family, the Brinson Foundation, the Dr. Scholl Foundation, Mr. and Mrs. John W. Estey, Mr. Joseph T. Lauer, Mr. and Mrs. William J. Lutz, the McLean family, Mr. and Mrs. Jeffrey S. Rothstein, the Searle family, and Sidley Austin.
I'm now pleased to introduce the chair of the Adler Planetarium's Board of Trustees, Linda Jojo, with a special message about this year's Celestial Ball Corporate Partner Award.
I'm honored to be here this evening to introduce the 2021 Celestial Ball Corporate Partner Award recipient, Ulta Beauty. Their commitment to the Chicagoland community and communities across the country embodies the Adler Planetarium's spirit of connection. As the Adler looks forward to a future where the planetarium is accessible to people of all ages from around the globe, this spirit of connection and community is more important than ever. On behalf of the entire Adler Planetarium Board of Trustees, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to Ulta Beauty for their generous support this evening, and congratulations on this year's Celestial Ball Corporate Partner Award.
Start, 2, 1, weekly mission, and liftoff.
Whether exploring the endless possibilities of the night sky or fostering the transformative power of beauty, Ulta Beauty is committed to making a difference in the world around us. Headquartered in the suburbs of Chicago, Ulta Beauty operates more than 1,200 stores with over 37,000 associates, 91% of whom are women. Driven by the belief that beauty is for everyone, Ulta Beauty strives to inspire positive change and elevate underrepresented voices in the beauty industry. Through the Ulta Beauty Charitable Foundation, Ulta Beauty helps to enhance the education and well-being of women and their families, partnering with nonprofits like the Adler Planetarium to fuel bright futures. For 6 years, Ulta Beauty has joined forces with Adler to inspire beauty and limitless possibilities for the next generation of leaders, supporting the scientists and engineers of tomorrow through STEAM programming, helping communities gather to explore the stars, and so much more. As we look forward to an exciting future of education, connection, and celebrating the beauty of the sky we all share, partnerships like these will be indispensable to pursuing our mission. With support from Ulta Beauty, the Adler Planetarium is thrilled to celebrate our 91st year. Congratulations to Ulta Beauty, recipient of the Adler Planetarium's 2021 Corporate Partner Award.
Hi everyone, I'm Dave Kimball, CEO of Ulta Beauty. It is my privilege to accept this year's Corporate Honoree Award on behalf of Ulta Beauty and Ulta Beauty's Chief Operating Officer and Adler Trustee, Keisha Steelman. The Adler Planetarium and Ulta Beauty share a commitment to bringing to life beautiful and limitless possibilities, inviting all to explore and achieve their full potentials. Whether looking to the sky or to the world around us, we are proud our partnership is making a real and lasting difference in the lives of so many, both in our hometown of Chicago and beyond. We are thrilled to support the Adler as it embarks on an exciting new chapter, inspiring the next generation of STEAM leaders through digital programs. The Adler Planetarium has such an impressive legacy, building bright futures for 91 years by promoting education and fostering curiosity. And I am honored that Ulta Beauty can be a part of this important work. Thank you to Keisha for your leadership on the Adler Board of Directors and for sharing your commitment to communities with Ulta Beauty and the Chicagoland community. I am excited about what we can accomplish together with Adler. So, on behalf of Ulta Beauty, thank you once again for this honor and enjoy the rest of the Celestial Ball.
Thank you, Dave, and thanks once again for all that Ulta Beauty does in the community and at the Adler. We are grateful for your support and the support of all of our donors and sponsors. As you enjoy tonight's event, I ask that you consider donating to support the Adler's mission at the link you see on your screen. The support raised during this evening's event helps to fund initiatives and programs that bring our entire community together under the sky we all share. One effort this event raises money for is our Adler Teen programs. Participation in meaningful opportunities in science, technology, engineering, art and math, or STEAM, is core to the Adler's identity. Join me now for a peek into what young people from across Chicago and now around the world are doing to engage with the universe alongside the Adler.
Hi, I'm Kelly Borden, Director of Teen Programs here at the Adler Planetarium.
And I'm Lottie, Senior Program Manager for Teen Programs here at the Adler Planetarium.
Teen programs at the Adler are an opportunity for young people to engage deeply with STEM, act as community leaders and thinkers, and meet and work with their peers from all over the city. Even in a remote environment, we've been able to offer opportunities for young people to engage with the Adler in creative ways to further their personal and professional development.
One of the ways we're engaging with young people is through our summer teen internships. We offer young people from around the Chicagoland area an opportunity to come and work at the Adler for a 6-week paid internship where they're paired with selected Adler staff who serve as their mentors for the summer. With these internships, teens get to work alongside our Zooniverse staff learning about and helping to facilitate citizen science. They work with our space visualization and theaters team to build interactive space visualizations just like the ones you've already seen here tonight. And there are opportunities to work on the business side of the planetarium through our development and marketing departments for teens more interested in learning about what it takes to run a museum in Chicago. Ultimately, our goals with the internship are to connect teens with supportive adult allies and provide real-world work experiences and transferable skills that teens can use beyond the internship as students and as members of their community.
We also look to engage with teens outside of the Adler and their communities so that they can be advocates in the neighborhoods in which they live for science education and communication. When we look at an opportunity like Youth Organization for Lights Out, or YOLO for short, we spend an entire school year working with young people, primarily from Chicago's communities of color, to research and understand the effects of light pollution in metropolitan areas. They're able to take that research and use it to educate and raise awareness among their peers and their communities about the importance of protecting dark skies in large cities like Chicago through municipal change. YOLO empowers young people to be advocates in their community for social and environmental change. We give them the tools to be leaders in their communities outside of the Adler Planetarium.
We're very thankful for the considerable support from our donors who make all of the work our teens do possible, including the Brinson Foundation, ComEd Exelon, the Dr. Scholl Foundation, the Peggy and Steve Fawcett Foundation, the Motorola Solutions Foundation, Northrop Grumman, the Pritzker Foundation, S&C Electric Company Fund, Shure Incorporated, the Shure Charitable Trust, and the Saragusa Family Foundation.
Hi there. I'm Sarah Smale, Manager of Experience Development for Schools and Families at the Adler Planetarium. At the beginning of tonight's program, Michelle welcomed you into the Adler Planetarium using our Virtual Field Trips interface. Over the past year, we've been able to use our Virtual Field Trips platform to continue to be a resource for teachers across the Chicagoland area and now the country and world. We've received generous donations from the Overdeck Foundation and the A. Montgomery Ward Foundation to help support these efforts over the past year. With our virtual field trips, students travel to our historic building on Chicago's Lakeshore, experience the scale of our universe in 3 dimensions, and connect with each other in ways that video chat can't replicate. Students get to immerse themselves in a digital world, selecting their own avatars and learning from Adler Educators. With classrooms visiting from Mexico and Canada, our virtual field trip platform has allowed students who may never have the opportunity to travel to Chicago or the Adler Planetarium the chance to visit the Adler in a virtual space and engage with STEM. We're looking forward to the future as we continue to engage with young people around the country and around the world through this platform.
We appreciate our teen program colleagues and the remarkable work they do with young people around Chicago and now the globe. I'm pleased to now introduce one of our Adler Teen Program students, Claudia Jimenez. Claudia has spent part of her summer working with Adler Planetarium astronomer Dr. Lucianne Walkowicz to prepare for her interview with tonight's special guest, retired astronaut Joan Higginbotham. It is my pleasure to welcome Lucianne, Claudia, and Joan to tonight's program.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm Dr. Lucianne Walkowicz, an astronomer at the Adler Planetarium, and I'm joined by Claudia Jimenez, who has participated in a number of the Adler's teen programs. Claudia Jimenez is a rising senior at Lane Tech College Prep and was born and raised in Chicago. She's a proud young Latina America woman and an advocate for gender inclusivity and equality in STEM. She's interested in science and technology, especially computer science and chemistry, and has been involved in tech organizations such as Chick Tech and Lane's Autonomous Vehicle Club. Claudia is also involved in the JROTC as the commander of the JROTC Leadership and Academic Bowl, JLab team, and a member of the drill team. She has won multiple awards from the National Center for Women in Information Technology, including a National Honorable Mention for Aspirations in Computing. At Adler, she participated in the Astroscience Workshop, where she completed a collaborative engineering project, worked as a summer intern studying light pollution, and is currently a volunteer working on a tech demonstration for Far Horizons. Welcome, Claudia. How are you today?
Good morning, Lucianne. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It is such a pleasure to have been working with you towards this interview. I know that you're really excited and have wonderful questions. Was there anything in particular during the interview process that really stood out to you, either about how to prepare for an interview or about, of course, your wonderful interview subject, who we'll get to in a moment?
It was a very fun process learning about Dr. Higginbotham and just researching and going through this process with you. Like, I felt like kind of a mini professional journalist, so that was a very cool experience.
Well, for what it's worth, I think you're a natural. It's been wonderful working with you, and I think without further ado, we can introduce our honorable guest. Tonight, Claudia will be interviewing Joan Higginbotham. Joan Higginbotham is an electrical engineer with dual master's degrees and a 30-plus year career working with Fortune 500 companies in the aerospace, energy, and retail sectors. During her 9-year tenure at NASA's Kennedy Space Center, she participated in numerous space shuttle launches from the firing room, the nerve center for launches, an impressive accomplishment for anyone. However, when she returned to KSC for the launch of Discovery in STS-116, she took participation to a whole new level as astronaut Joan Higginbotham. On her nearly 13-day space mission, Joan's primary task was to operate the International Space Station Remote Manipulator System, better known as the robotic arm, assisting with the installation of the P5 truss and supporting crew members during spacewalks to rewire the space station's power system and retract a solar panel. To date, she is the third of only 3 African-American women astronauts to fly in space. Higginbotham has received numerous awards, including the World's Who's Who of Women, Charlotte, North Carolina's 50 Most Influential Women, the National Space Medal, the NASA Exceptional Service Medal, and Savoy's Top Influential Women in Corporate America. She's been conferred with an honorary doctorate in aerospace science from Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, her alma mater, and an honorary doctorate in humanities from the University of New Orleans. Joan resides in Charlotte, North Carolina, and is married to James E. Mitchell Jr. Welcome, Ms. Higginbotham. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
It's my honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
The honor is all ours. Without further ado, I will turn you over to Claudia and let this wonderful conversation unfold.
It's been a pleasure learning about you and being able to talk with you today. And we have a lot in common. We were both raised in Chicago and we have so many similar interests. So I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Well, I'm looking forward to the conversation as well.
So a lot of kids dream about being an astronaut, but not all astronauts grew up wanting to be that, as shown by your story. Tell me a little bit about your upbringing. When you were a child, was there a specific job that you wanted to have when you grew up?
So I am the youngest of 4 children. As you mentioned earlier, I was born and raised in Chicago, and my mom still lives in the childhood house where I was born and raised. And, you know, it was interesting because we grew up, on my siblings and I, with my parents wanting us to just have a good education and do something that we loved and make sure that we could take care of ourselves when we became adults. And so those were the expectations in my household. Do well in school and go on to take care of yourself. And that's how I was. Now, I was really inquisitive as a kid. I loved to take stuff apart. I took apart my brother's transistor radio. I wasn't quite so successful in putting it back together. I took apart the vacuum cleaner, just kind of strange things, which kind of, in my mind, led me to be who I am. I think that was a precursor in my life telling me what I was going to do in life. But as I was growing up, there wasn't necessarily a particular job that I thought I was going to have when I grew up. What I really wanted to do was something that could incorporate math and science. And up until the 8th grade, I didn't really know what that was. But then I was introduced to a program called Inroads, which at that time was an engineering program for women and minorities. And it showed me how I could take my love of math and science and that curiosity that I had and parlay it into a career in engineering. And that's kind of how I got into the whole field of engineering through Inroads.
So you applied to be an astronaut after your boss at the Kennedy Space Center had mentioned that you would be a good astronaut. Had you ever thought about being an astronaut even briefly before he had mentioned it to you?
Oh, absolutely not. I already thought I had the coolest job in the world, Claudia. I was a system engineer first. So I got to work on the electrical systems of the shuttle. Then I was an orbiter project engineer, so I got to know a little bit about all the different systems on the shuttle and say, yes, the shuttle is ready to fly. And I mean, what more is there? It was the coolest job on the earth. I guess at that time, though, I had not really thought about what the coolest job off of the earth would be, and that would be astronaut. So I was thoroughly enjoying what I was doing with NASA and never really considered being an astronaut. Part of the other thing too is, I thought astronauts were, 10 feet tall and super smart and everything that at the time I thought I wasn't. But really, when I really sat down and thought about this, I'm like, look, you are one of the people that gets the shuttle ready for the astronauts to fly on. If you're competent enough and smart enough to do that, then surely you're competent enough and smart enough to fly on the shuttle. So I had to get over my own self-imposed limitation to really see myself as becoming an astronaut.
I know how that feels, like having that sort of imposter syndrome, but I'm very glad that you were able to overcome that.
Absolutely. That's important not only for my career, but it's just important in life as you go along.
So how do you manage those high expectations for yourselves and that competition while also achieving your goals?
So I would have to say sometimes I don't do a good job of it. It is a process and something that I have to continuously work on. So for me, I always hold myself probably to a higher standard than anybody else. And I think most people tend to do that. They are harder on themselves than anybody else would ever be. And sometimes what you have to do is realize that you're in that category, that you're being a little too rough on yourself, and you just have to pull yourself back in. And this is what I do when I find myself in that scenario. I say to myself, if you had a friend, your best friend in the same scenario, what would you say to your friend? And you realize that what you say to your friend is something a lot softer and gentler than what you're saying to yourself at that time. So that's how I work through that. But it is absolutely a process and something that I have to work on all the time.
So when you were in space, when you were in the ISS, you had to work with astronauts from all over the world, various cultural backgrounds and nations. How did you overcome those language and cultural barriers with other astronauts from around the world?
So it's a really good question. When NASA decided to build the International Space Station, they partnered with 15 other nations. One of the other major partners in the International Space Station was Russia. So at that time, there was a program set up where the American astronauts would go over to Russia and train and learn the Russian language, and the Russian cosmonauts would come here to the United States and train not only on our systems, but they would learn English. So a lot of that language barrier was broken by the fact that we had to learn the other person's respective language. Now, let me say this. I have never been proficient at Russian, but I know enough to get by. And our European astronauts, most of those guys spoke 4 or 5 languages, so they were way ahead of us to begin with. As far as the cultural barrier, that's really interesting because when the Russians came over here, we were so engaging and we wanted them to experience what we experience every day in the United States. So we would, bring them home for dinner. We take them out to stores, the stores like they've never been to a big box store. So you walk in a store and you have 50 million choices. It just blew them away. And so we always wanted them to get acclimated to the things that we do here in the States. Likewise, when we went to Russia, I've been to Russia many times, I would meet their families, they'd have us over for dinner, we learn about their culture. And it was such a wonderful exchange because we didn't see the cultural aspect as a barrier. We saw it as something that we could use to bring us together by sharing what we have and what we do with the other person. So it's an absolutely beautiful experience when we would go to the other person's country and just learn and share. And that sharing translated to a really successful mission when we were up in the International Space Station and us all getting along. There were no political lines, there were no national boundaries. It was just all of us in a little tin can at the time coming together to accomplish one goal and one mission. And that's what we did absolutely flawlessly, regardless of where we came from and where our background was and what languages we spoke. It was one team and one mission.
You also continued to work with corporate social responsibility after this project. You used to work as the director of corporate social responsibility at UTC Aerospace in Charlotte, North Carolina. And as you've probably seen in the news, a lot of commercial companies like SpaceX have launched projects like the Starlink satellite constellation that have the potential to change the night sky as we know it. What responsibilities do you think that these companies have to society?
I think companies have two basic responsibilities to society. It's to be responsible towards the environment, and the other is to be responsible to society. So to produce a good product that not only benefits them, but it also benefits society. So those are basically the two responsibilities. Those very broad, but we need to be very mindful, or the companies need to be very mindful of what their product is doing to the earth and making sure that it's not harming the earth, because we only have one earth. And trust me, I've seen it from above and it's very fragile.
Earlier this year, there were some reports that you were considering running for public office. If you were elected, how would STEM play a role in your policy? For example, would you advocate for more STEM funding or inclusivity in STEM?
So STEM is my passion. You know, it's what I've done pretty much all of my life. And I think it's going to play a huge role in the future, be it in space, be it in cybersecurity. It is just everything, in everything that we do. So I am passionate about STEM. I would absolutely advocate for STEM. I'd advocate for more money in STEM. I'd advocate for getting STEM out to our youth at an earlier age. I'd advocate for having STEM out in our underrepresented groups so that we have more people that look like you and me in the STEM field. So yes, I would just advocate for STEM any way I could so that we would advance STEM in the United States. We want to stay technologically competitive, and the only way we're going to do that is to graduate more engineers and computer folks. So STEM is the future, and we need to have very competent people in it.
I know that a lot of young women like me in your district, wherever that is, would definitely appreciate that. So thank you.
You're quite welcome.
In your entire life, what do you think has been your biggest contribution to science, society, or the world?
So my biggest contribution, I would say, is the role that I played in building of the International Space Station. And I can say that I had a hand in that, and I'm a part of history. And so because of that, I think that is my biggest contribution to science, because it benefits the entire world.
That's incredible. So thank you, Ms. Higginbotham, so much for coming and talking with me today.
So Claudia, I really had a great time talking with you today. And let me just say, I wish you all the best luck in the world. I'm sure you're going to do phenomenal things. And one day I'll be interviewing you.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Thank you again to Claudia Jimenez and Joan Higginbotham for joining us this evening. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Lucianne. This evening, we've enjoyed giving you a view into the ways the Adler is building a global community through our digital and in-person programming. I'm guessing you saw something you liked, and I really look forward to connecting again soon, face-to-face at the museum, avatar to avatar, or in an online chat.
When our world turned upside down, we reinvented the Adler Planetarium for a socially distant age. We created digital spaces where everyone on the planet could feel connected to us, to each other, to the sky, and to the farthest reaches of our collective imagination. Now, our community is bigger and stronger than ever. The Adler is not only a building, it's anywhere people gather to spot a constellation, anywhere they see themselves in the life story of a scientist, anywhere they sing a song about black holes. In classrooms and living rooms all over the world, we remind people that they're not so far away from us, from each other, or from the stars. Soon, we'll have a rare opportunity to bring our physical and virtual worlds together. The world is our stage. Chicago is our home. With your support, we'll show our friends, near and far, that there's practically no distance between where they are and anywhere they want to go.
Before we wrap up, one final appeal to your generosity. I ask you to consider making a gift in support of the Adler's mission. Whether you can give $10 or $10,000, we are grateful for your donation. As we continue to build an Adler for the future, your support makes a difference. Our giving platform is open now and will remain open even after we've said goodbye for the night. You can access it from the link in the program description on this page. Looking up together under a sky we all share remains a powerful act that connects our Adler community anywhere you are. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful starry night.